Hey guys. How's it going? Come in, come in. Come in, come in, come in. Hi everybody. Come in, come in, come in. Come in, come in, come in, guys. We're going to talk about layoffs. We're going to talk about layoffs. So, if you guys are paying attention, if you're paying attention, you're starting to see that more and more people are being laid off in their place of work for various reasons. And so on this live, I want to talk about why some people are at risk of being laid off versus some people are able to insulate themselves and be more adaptable to the current work environment. This is a live that you don't want to miss because you need to do a personal self-assessment to understand if you are at risk of being laid off. And if so, what do you need to do? Because not everyone is at risk. Some people are able to be more adaptable, and I'll explain why. So, comment in the chat if you think you're going to be laid off this year. Comment in the chat if you think that you will be laid off this year. I see folks coming in. Okay, so let's get into it. There are a lot of red flags that people are avoiding. So it's always interesting how, as things develop, there's a level of uncertainty in the air. I think everyone feels this lack of clarity as to if their job will be made redundant or not. And of course, the number one concern is that you will be made redundant due to AI. But I feel like that fear is misplaced right now for most people. Hi, Seren. That fear is misplaced for most people. I don't believe AI is going to take your job. I don't think at this time that is the concern. Although I think in the next 18 months, we're going to see some crazy shifts in the American workforce. But in this moment, in September 2025, I don't think that is what you should be concerned about. There are other things that you should be worried about, and one of them is your job being redundant. What does that mean? Well, simply put, in light of new information, or I would say business conditions changing, companies decide to pivot their strategy. And so this can happen for all sorts of reasons. Can you think of a reason why that would happen in September of 2025? Is there anything that's going to happen in 2025, specifically in September, that will cause businesses to think again about their strategy, about their corporate strategy? Can you think of any reason as to why that would happen in September specifically? Guys, I need you to talk back to me. What would be the reason? Tariffs is a great one. A lot of people aren't talking about the impact of tariffs on how companies are going to respond, and I think that's misguided. There's a lot of focus on AI on this app and other apps, but the recession should be not a recession. The tariffs should be a huge concern. Mar Wasset recession worries, another big one. If you've been paying attention, Jerome Powell is supposed to come out with new interest rates. And so Donald Trump has been pressuring the Federal Reserve to drop interest rates, and that should impact the way consumers spend. So the question remains, is Jerome Powell going to do it? Is he going to step down from his role as chairman? We will see. But yeah, a lot of people are waiting to see in September what will happen. So it's not just tariffs, it's also recession worries. It's also interest rates are changing in September. There's a lot of things that are changing. So as a result, you should be concerned. You should be paying attention. You should be reading the room to understand that nobody's job is safe right now. Anyone can be made redundant. How do you know that your job is going to be made redundant? Well, number one, your work starts getting reassigned. This can happen to anybody. So if your work starts being reassigned to other people, they start making your workload a lot lighter. If you start getting fewer assignments, fewer work being shifted your way, you're absolutely becoming more redundant, meaning you're not needed, you're not necessary. If they start doing budget cuts, because think about it, if companies in certain industries are impacted by the tariffs, that means that a lot of those costs are going to be pushed onto consumers. Companies are going to figure out how to cut costs, and one of them is cutting the most expensive members from these teams. So budget cuts could absolutely impact your team. Some things are just not going to be considered a priority for the next 5 to 6 months. So again, depending on how September goes, budget cuts will impact your team. If you are not close to the money, if you're not close to decision making or decision makers, you might be made redundant. They may trim the fat on your team, so to speak. Another red flag. Do you think that being asked to train people is a good thing? Yes or no? There's not new tariffs necessarily, although the impact of the tariff bills and the trade war that's going on is expected to hit in September. That's what we're waiting on. Is it a good thing if you're asked to train somebody? The answer is no. Seren is right. No, it's not necessarily a good thing. If you're being asked to train new hires, that could be a sign that you're training your replacement, depending on the context. Our client just gave us the go-ahead on FY26 planning. A lot of companies are looking at their budget right now. Yep, the 90-day pause. Unless they renegotiate something, people are bracing themselves for impact. And I think because a lot of American consumers, they haven't really felt the impact of tariffs. I was looking at something the other day. I was looking at the report from the Wall Street Journal. They were saying that low to middle income earners are positioned to struggle the most. Y'all are feeling it a little bit, but folks like me who are like upper middle class, we don't really feel it right now. Not really. I just got laid off. I'm sorry to hear that, Brielle. You might want to book a call. Link is in the bio. Another sign that you might get laid off. If they start putting a ton of emphasis on quantifiable metrics and documentation, that's a sign something's off. When they start really pushing KPIs, really pushing metrics, that's how you start to know, okay, something is going on. That means they're trying to justify this role. This impacts a lot of low-skilled workers who are in more ambiguous roles that have no clear role definition. So if you're not close to the money, meaning you're not in sales, you're not close to the money, meaning you're not making the company money, you're not a bottom line revenue generator, you're not tip of the spear, you not making the money, you already up for grabs. They're already going to cut your team. They're already thinking about it. But then additionally, if you're not connected to any decision makers directly, that's also a concern. And then, of course, people with ambiguous roles that are not clearly defined, they're going to start pushing KPIs and metrics and all this stuff to discern who is a high performer or a low performer in a subjective role, right? These are signs that, your job is going to become redundant, that they're really considering how impactful your job actually is. Isn't Chinese tariffs most impactful? It can be. I think it depends on the industry. So yeah, companies are absolutely bracing themselves for impact, and they're thinking about how this is going to impact them long term. So yeah, they're looking at their budgets, they're looking at their strategic direction, and they're going to pivot based on whatever Trump does, which could be any other day, right? Every other day, Trump doing something different, and so that affects what they got going on. It's crazy. Consulting is crazy right now. Can you give examples of ambiguous roles? I'm trying to figure out what a good example would be. I feel like internal facing roles is a good one. So what I mean is there's people who have jobs that are not client facing. They're not working directly with clients. They're internal, meaning they're administrative or support roles. Those can be ambiguous sometimes because really you do a lot of different things. You wear a lot of different hats. And so office managers are a perfect example of this because they do so much for so many people. But because there's not a lot of clear role definition, they're constantly taking on tasks from people. They're constantly getting ad hoc tasks and responsibilities that may not clearly be defined in their job description. Those people are the easiest to take out because there's no way to quantify if they're doing a good job or not in some cases. So yeah, this is something that you're struggling with. You do need to book a call before you get laid off so you can come up with a plan. You don't want to be caught last minute, with your pants, by your ankles because you didn't take it serious. Because people think that they're more, what's the word I'm looking for? That it couldn't happen to them. But anyone's job is up for grabs right now. It's a matter of time. So let's go to the second point. Lack of clarity. Lack of clarity is extremely important. If you valuable, I would more so say people are disposable. Companies treat you like you're disposable. So therefore, you should never think that you're bigger than the program. Always consider that at the end of the day, it can happen to you. It can happen to anybody. Lack of clarity is important. If we're talking about what you can look for, lack of clarity. Do you know how unnerving it is to get poor feedback from a decision maker, from your manager, from your boss, and they don't really tell you specifics? They just say, oh, I just don't like the way you did that. That's not specific feedback. Poor evaluations, you're getting markups. Suddenly everything needs improvement. Thank you for the likes. Really think about it. Higher expectations, meaning I've had people tell me in the past few months at their company, they have gotten slide decks with a ton of new information that they're being graded on. I've had that happen in my consulting calls that I do with people. I'm having folks come in and tell me, hey, I just started this job less than a year ago, and they gave us several different slide decks of all this new information. And now the way that we're graded for evaluations is different. So we're going through all this information to understand how it impacts us. And they did not see it coming. All of a sudden, higher expectations. Everybody's being graded more harshly, especially in these ambiguous jobs with no clear role definition. If you see a sudden shift in your manager's behavior, meaning if your managers start acting funny, they start canceling meetings on you, you stop getting invited to stuff, they're giving you attitude for no reason now, go ahead and get up out of there. Go ahead and get up out of there. If your managers start acting shady, especially if they recruit other people on the team to start acting shady towards you, bad vibes. And what that's called is workplace mobbing. Workplace mobbing is when groups of people at your job come at you. Not multiple people see you as a prey, see you as somebody to pick on, and they all jumping on the bandwagon. That's how you know something's going on, when they all do this. Because in corporate, they only do that if they see a perceived weakness in you and that somebody above them has given them a go ahead. Meaning your manager or some other decision maker or influencer has given them the impression that they can treat you however they want and there will be no repercussions. That is a sign that something is going on and you're going to get cut. You cannot ignore that. If you get to the point where people start talking to you crazy, if you get to a point where your manager starts canceling calls, they stop inviting you to meetings, you find out after the fact that there's information that you should have had and they didn't send it to you, that's a bad sign. That's a really bad sign. That means you've ignored so much before that point that you're halfway out the door. The things that I'm describing should be subtle. If it's overt, that means that you have ignored so much before this point that there's not much you could do to save your job. Thank you for the likes. So yeah, I've talked about that. If you don't get touch points from your manager, meaning they cancel calls with you on it, they don't answer your emails, they don't answer your messages, they block you out of important meetings, they having conversations with other people and leave you out, they block opportunities, so they see you trying to get a new job, they see you trying to do this, do that, and they block it. Bad sign. That's a really bad sign. What is your current job position? I work in Big Four, so I work at a competitive firm in the consulting side. And I just got a new job, actually. I'm still at my firm. I'm just in a different position now. I started seeing some things and I said, you know what? I want to go somewhere else. So I actually leveled up and got an even better job with more pay that nobody knew about. All the strategies that I teach y'all, I implement them myself. Did you have to get a master's for that? No. I hustled. Thank you for the flowers. Hustled my tail off. Got in the firm, worked my tail off again, networked my tail off. And when the time came, I dipped, got a better offer, better position, better pay, and I work with senior partners now. So therefore, boop, I'm out of there. And everybody on the team was shook because they didn't even know the job existed. I'm that good. I'm covert until I get what I want and I'm out the door. I don't overstay my welcome is my point. If I feel like something ain't right, I'm out of there. And so that's where I want y'all to get at. That's why you need to book a call, a coaching call with me, because I'm teaching y'all verbatim the stuff that I had to learn the hard way. And I was able to scale my income rate well into 6 figures. Before I was like 25. Well, 26. I'll say 26. Work at a competitive firm. I'm a person of color, so I know what I'm talking about. People who got hired with me don't even work there anymore. They got forced out. So I know what I'm talking about. And these are people twice my age with way more professional experience. Game is game. If you know game, you can stay. If you don't have game, they're going to boot you out. And some of y'all have been hopping from job to job to job to job because you can't hang. You don't know when it's time to move. You don't know when it's time to get up out of there. You overstay your welcome, or you don't know what the signs are. But what exactly is your job title? Not going to tell y'all nothing. I'm not telling you my job title. I don't even know if I actually can for independence reasons. I don't know if I actually could tell you. Now that I think about it, I don't know. I actually don't know. There's some things I guess I'm not supposed to share for, if you work in highly regulated industries, you know what I'm saying. Some things it's like, how specific can I be? But anyhow, to see what would be expected, don't worry about my job description, worry about yours. Don't worry about my qualifications, boo. Hey, you don't have to believe anything I'm saying. Can you give a hint? I told you what I do. I told you I work in Big Four in the consulting side. I work in a Big Four accounting firm on the consulting side. Now, and I'm more like strategic sales, I guess. I'm not getting you into my job because I don't think you could. I can't make that determination unless I actually saw your resume. What I do is, as a career designer, I take what you like and what you're good at and what makes a lot of money in your industry, and we chart a path for you to get there. My job is not to turn you into a mini me, because some people that's just not gonna happen. But it depends. If you have certain qualifications and experience, then maybe we can have that conversation. But this is not no weird MLM where I teach you how to get into consulting. That no. Some people, I learned that the hard way. Some people, you wouldn't even like it. You may not even like it. Okay, Big Four is not for everybody. It's just not. It's not. I used to work in tech sales, and some of my folks who have gone to my live streams have pivoted into tech sales themselves. So that's how I know my advice works. So I used to unintentionally help people with my advice get into tech sales positions, and they do very well. So just watching my live streams and free content, if you know game, you could get in and do what you want to do. But that was several years ago during the pandemic and whatever. So now I'm more so just trying to help people get to become their best selves in their industry. Conversation, you can just book a call. Link is in my bio. How do you know you can do tech sales? Anybody can do it. You can train a monkey to sell. You really can. Anybody can do tech sales. You just got to grind hard. What I used to do is I used to sell enterprise tech sales, and that's a lot more competitive. So you're not just selling one product, you're selling a whole suite of solutions. And so you have to learn all the different use cases for it. So if you're selling an enterprise data platform or a cloud, a cloud offering, there's multiple applications for it. Does that make sense? So you could have a cloud product, a cloud-based product that has cybersecurity use cases, marketing use cases, cloud, supply chain use cases. It's a bit more competitive in that way. But you could still do it. You could still do it. You would just have to learn the technology to sell it. That's how I actually started my sales career. So if you want to break into sales, I have a lot of advice on how to do it. But anywho, that's not the purpose of this live. I'm just saying, if you want some game, book using the link in my bio. You can put time on my calendar, apply to work with me, and then we'll go from there. And I have friends who I've coached as well. Some of them are highly educated, but they just wanted to make more money because you can make a killing in tech sales. So they pivoted into tech sales. One of them was a cybersecurity engineer. So she just took her existing knowledge base. I helped her pivot. Now she's in security sales. So she does cybersecurity solutions, and she sells there as a sales engineer. I'm 99% sure my job is going to be laying people off. What can I look out for? Well, that's the purpose of this live. So you're in the right live stream. I've talked about several of these before. I'm going down the list. But you want to look for, of course, your job being redundant. Meaning redundancies, anything that can be automated. Super important to look for, because if majority of your job description is easily automated, if they can easily offshore your role, they can just send it overseas or something, huge red flag. Were the 30-minute calls only for this month? No, you just have to book for September. I'm booked out for all calls for the month of August. So what's on the calendar is what's available. You'll have to start booking for September. So yeah, if your work is being reassigned, if you get fewer assignments, budget cuts, if you even hear a whisper about a reorg, if you hear about restructuring, if you even get a whisper of some disruption at the C-suite, oh yeah, count your days. If you hear a whisper that somebody that's a VP C-level person getting removed, oh yeah, things are about to change. They're doing a major shakeup. So yeah, count your days. That's a huge sign. Count your days. If you're not directly connected to money, if you're not making them money directly, count your days. Yeah, count your days. People are worried about AI, but that's not what you should be worried about at this stage. Don't get me wrong. I talk about AI a lot on my page. I'm an AI futurist, but I think the next 18 months is going to be more focused on like economic restructuring and the impacts of like a looming recession versus actually AI. I think the AI stuff's going to hit people a little later. So don't mistake this delay or this lag as a sign that AI doesn't work. It absolutely does. It's the people and the business processes, not the AI models. So anywho, another sign, your manager starts acting shady. If your manager starts acting shady, count your days. Count your days. They don't answer emails. They don't answer calls. Count your days. What are some industries that would make sense to pivot into with AI? That's the purpose of the call. When you book a call with me, that's what we actually talk about. The reason I don't give generic career advice is for that purpose, because I actually don't know you. I don't know your resume. I don't know your LinkedIn. There's a lot I don't know. I have to collect a lot of different data points to give you like an actual comprehensive answer. But yes, AI will be unregulated in the United States for 10 years. So that means we should expect rapid transformation and growth during this time. It'll start off slow and it'll just get exponentially better. If your workload starts to change, meaning if they give you too much work to the point where you can't deliver on that work, count your days. Because that happens to people a lot. You think you're indispensable to the team, but in actuality, they're giving you too much work for any one person to handle because they want you to fail. That happens sometimes. What are roles that are more project based instead of repetitive tasks every day? Well, I wouldn't necessarily aim for project based because projects can be canceled. What you think going on with the consultants right now? I'm just saying, if y'all ain't been paying attention, this is a cross-sector problem. This economic stuff is cross-sector because guess what? Consultants only have work if somebody has a project to work on. Billable hours. If you ain't got no billable hours, then you ain't working on no project. They'll take you off. So it could go either way. Too much work or too little work. Too little billable hours. Nobody wants to work on a project with you anymore. It's a red flag. They're changing the expectations every other day. Yep. That's a huge red flag. Catherine, you need to book a call like ASAP. Because by the end of the year, something's going to drastically change in your situation. Accountants are going to have jobs. Like CPAs are going to be needed. It's just how experienced are you? My personal opinion, as with most fields. If you're more specialized and experienced, you'll be okay. It's the people who don't specialize. It's the people who are not experienced, who are trying to break in, that are going to feel it the hardest. If you're studying in college, it's actually worse for you because you're studying obsolete information. By the time you hit the job market, it's going to be totally different. I don't know if anybody's told y'all that. But yeah, I have folks who are college students who are clients of mine. They get their jobs before they graduate. They do consultations with me and they work with me. They get their jobs months before they graduate. That is not uncommon. So it really comes down to your approach. If you have somebody like me who could do the heavy lifting on the back end to think through all of your options. But yeah, future proofing your career is going to become more important the earlier in your degree program because y'all learn stuff in theory. Y'all don't learn about the real world. Y'all reading books and talking about case studies. In the real world, it's going to be much different. Especially with all this new technology that's coming out, it's going to be a little bit different. It's going to be a little bit different when you actually hit the ground running. So like I was saying, right? Oh, just click the link in my bio. I mean, it says apply to work with me. That's what you do. Just put your information in and I'll be in touch with you. And ideally, I feel like you should be able to book a call from that link. Excuse me. But yeah, I'll reach out to you after and we'll have a conversation. And interesting, the number one thing that people tell me, the number one thing that my college kids say is that they are unprepared for the complex work dynamics. And interestingly, the young people in college have more self-awareness than the experienced adults. Because some of the experienced adults, they don't understand how bad they are professionally or how bad their soft skills are until they get laid off and they can't get another job. College students are going in concerned about this. And they have a right to be concerned because corporate speak is totally different than what you learn in college. Totally different. It's the experienced adults that got to get humbled. It's the experienced adults that finally experience for the first time workplace mobbing. That's when y'all realize, oh, like something's going on. It takes that one person getting laid off and they only started working at the job for like 3 to 6 months and they get laid off. They don't even get to complete their year. That's when y'all realize something's off. I have some clients who have come to me and they've actually gotten laid off multiple times consecutively or have gotten fired from jobs consecutively and they never understood why until they started working with me. That's a real thing. So yeah, the college students are much more self-aware than we give them credit for, actually. My college heavily invested in a separate building and disciplines towards AI systems when I already graduated. Yeah. A lot of universities and higher ed education institutions, they're investing a lot in AI and all these other topics. But again, like by the time they build a curriculum and launch it and get it approved, things have changed. That's just the nature of higher education. That doesn't mean that getting a college degree is not worth it. What it does mean is that you need practical work experience. That's why people like me do what we do. That's why we do career coaching, because we're in the field. We talk to hundreds of people a week at this point. If you're like somebody like me, who you do live streams a lot, you do consulting calls a lot, you coach different people. Between a combination of those things, you can have over 100 touch points a week with people. So you see the same stuff. I'm in the field. And on top of that, I'm also in corporate myself. So yeah, you see a lot. So by the time in higher education, by the time it makes it to higher education, things have changed. And that's just the nature of the beast. So that's why employers really value work experience, internships, research, things that show that you learned something outside the classroom for that reason. I also want to say, if you said I have a communications degree and I'm a makeup artist, I mean, what you do, people have to separate what you do for work versus your passion. Every passion should not be something you monetize and vice versa. So that's something to keep in mind. Like every skill is not necessarily transferable. Different industries, different skill set, different, you know what I mean? So if you have your makeup artist thing, do that thing. Invest in that 100% and build your clientele. You might need to hire a business coach for that. But your communications degree has little to do with being a makeup artist. And you might actually have more financial security doing your business stuff than having a communications degree at this time, unless you know how to leverage it. So yeah, a lot of folks are feeling pain right now because they are expecting layoffs. Everybody's uncertain. And I think if you are uncertain, you are right to be a little concerned. I think everyone is. Everyone's feeling that insecurity. However, it's what you do with that, right? It's what you do with that information. Some people, what they like to do is say, hey, I'm scared of getting laid off. What do I do? And I tell them we need to book a call and we need to go over everything. Leave no stone unturned. We need to figure out what your strengths are, how to market yourself to the industry, and like get you putting out job applications like crazy. And then it's silence. Because that requires work. I understand feeling overwhelmed by your current job to the point where you don't have the bandwidth to apply for other positions. I get that. 100%. I was there 6 to 8 months ago. I did not even want to open up a job application. But what I learned was this. Even as I went through this myself, right? Because I'm in corporate just like y'all. I'm working 9 to 5 just like y'all. And I have a business. So I was tired. But what I realized was this. At the end of the day, bills got to be paid. I had to cut out some of the extra stuff that I was doing because it was not helping me at all. I had to get up from around people who were content and satisfied, sitting on their tail, being miserable at their job. At some point, you got to say, I deserve better. It's got to be something else out here. I cannot live like this anymore because I'm already miserable at this job. I'm going to be even more miserable if I lose this job. So I need to get up, get GTFO, and find a new job ASAP. And that's what I did. You just got to like make it personal, be for real. Cause it's nothing worse than not having a job. It's nothing worse than not making no money. Did you ever make a video about why creative artists are less likely to be replaced with AI? I never made that video. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. Most of my time is not spent content creating. It's spent coaching. So I just haven't gotten around to it, if I'm being honest with you. But yeah, the short way around that is just to book a call with me directly because I make a lot of free content to the extent that I can, but I also work a 9 to 5. Creatives are less likely to be replaced with AI at this time because it relies on creativity. Y'all, there's different kinds of AI. There's narrow AI, which is what we use today for discrete tasks and responsibilities that are clearly outlined. So we program it to do something and it does the thing. We ask it to do something in ChatGPT and it does the thing. Your output is based on how good your inputs are. With general artificial intelligence, we're talking about the ability for artificial intelligence to duplicate human thinking and reasoning. That is artificial general intelligence. So the ability to be creative in that way falls more so under like the AGI umbrella. That falls under artificial general intelligence, and we're not there yet. Does it mean that we'll never get there? No. It just means right now we're not there yet. And also, like, if we're being honest with you, right? AGI is a little bit reminiscent of like science fiction movies a little bit. We will at some point get to artificial general intelligence, but I don't know how soon, how quickly. I have talked about how, military conflict and geopolitics right now will determine the use cases for AI. So I feel like maybe AGI could be a byproduct of global war, but I can preach that till I'm blue in the face, but I feel like until something happens, people won't believe me that we're that close to global conflict. The situation is ripe for it. You should not sleep with your boss or commit any HR violations to get promoted. You will be blackballed. So don't do that. It's a non-serious question, but I do have to give a serious answer. Don't commit any HR violations ever for any reason. So yeah, layoffs will affect everyone, but AI is not going to be the reason why you get laid off. It's probably going to be like economic indicators. It's perfectly normal. I would say what's not normal is waiting until something bad happens to take action. So I'm going to go through these red flags one more time and then I'm going to hop off. I have so much free stuff out there available for you guys. I mean, go click the link on my bio. You'll see so much stuff. Like, I have so much stuff, guys. I have the ChatGPT freebie. It's a prompt engineering freebie with all these different prompts you can plug in plug and play into ChatGPT. There's a resume evaluator. Plug in your resume PDF and it's going to grade your resume. That's 100% free. Powerful tool. And I trained it against Ivy League graduates. So Ivy League graduates and their resume. So you're competing against people who are well positioned in their market. What are the main indicators to watch? I'm going to go through these one more time and then I'm going to hang up because I do have to go to bed myself. Number one, your job being redundant. Your job can become redundant if companies reassess some of their corporate strategy for the next 3 to 5 years and they decide they're having to pivot because of whatever Trump got going on. And this is more common than you think. As new executive orders are being signed and it changes the way that companies are going to do business. And so some things are simply going to be deprioritized. It's just what it is. So there are projects that were in play, pilots that were in play, contracts that were about to be signed that got canceled because companies had to pivot quickly. I think we're still in that phase. So where I see things going right now is a lot of people, their work, even if they're skilled workers, it's going to be deprioritized in favor of direct revenue generating activity. So be prepared for that. I think a lot of companies are expecting some sort of like fallout from the tariff trade war stuff. It's been a delayed impact. So we're expecting between that and stuff going on with the Federal Reserve and interest rates, that should hit September, October timeframe. So we really are just waiting to see what we're going to get. So yeah, budget cuts are a thing. Budget cuts are a thing. So yeah, companies are going to cut budgets. They're going to slash budgets where they can. So some of the most expensive employees are going to get got. Cybersecurity is going to be hard to break into. It's one of those fields where you need experience. And if you don't have experience, you're not going anywhere fast. They need the talent, but they need experienced workers. Just a degree is not enough, especially for the cyber field. So don't be surprised if you have an experienced worker, if you have over 5 years of experience and you have your manager asking you to train someone with 2 years of experience. It's because you're more expensive than them. So they may cut you in favor of that younger person simply because they have less experience and they're cheaper. Some companies are willing to make that trade-off. Okay, so keep that in mind. If we're looking for ways or reasons for being laid off or how this plays out, yeah. Yes, there's cybersecurity internships. Yes, they're very competitive. There's a lot more cyber graduates than y'all think. There's a lot more cyber graduates than y'all realize. Yeah, so another reason for layoffs is a lack of clarity. There's no role definition, meaning if your job is too ambiguous. There you go. If you are expected to perform at higher and higher expectations with no support, also a red flag. If you see your manager acting shady, they stop answering emails, stop answering phone calls, and they don't tell you why, that's a lack of clarity. That's not a good thing. I would be concerned. If there's a lot of miscommunication or poor communication about your job, about compensation, about any of that, that's a sign something is up. If your manager or higher ups are blocking opportunities, meaning you try to apply to different jobs and they're blocking you, that's a sign something's up. If you can't gain any traction within your current position to do your job better, you trying everything you can and you still not getting it done, something is up. If you get a lot of scrutiny, people constantly questioning you at your job, they're constantly checking you, double and triple checking your work. If HR asks you Are you happy here? People constantly nitpicking. Every interaction with you is CC'd and documented somewhere. If you find out they talk about you in the group chat, they talking about you on these email chains, that's not a good sign. Not a good sign at all. If your coworkers start acting the fool, they start shading you, nitpicking, mobbing you. That's what it's called, workplace mobbing. You know what that means? That means they're talking crap about you in the group chat. They in Slack going in on you. That means your manager and other decision makers, influencers, are coaching them to treat you badly, and there will not be consequences. That's very common, especially with Black women clients. Black female clients, y'all get scapegoated and bullied a lot at work, and y'all take it. Y'all take that lying down. And I get why, but that's why you need more options. More options equals more leverage. So if they act funny, you can get funnier. If they get froggy, you can say jump then, and then you'll have another job waiting on you. Hello from South Carolina. Hello. Good to see you, Diana. Advice for what to do while you're laid off. Book a call. Apply to work with me. Ideally, before you get laid off. Ideally before, but yeah, it's easy to get a job when you already have one. In this job market, it's much harder to go it alone when you don't have one and you're just waiting to get one. That's just the reality. It's like getting a man. If you want a man real bad, get one and you could get another one. It's kind of like the smell of desperation keeps companies away from you. If it gives desperate, if it gives I don't have any options, companies don't want that. They don't want that. They don't want that at all. So yeah, that's why coaching is so important, because we can teach you some of the things that we know, but most importantly, we can give you some external feedback on what's not working. So yeah. So that being said, guys, like I said, there's so much I have available. Click the link in my bio. I have freebies. I have a free custom GPT for you guys to leverage to evaluate your resume. I have chat GPT prompts for you to use as part of your job search. Okay, all this stuff is available to you, but you have to take advantage of it. Don't wait till the last minute. Everybody is disposable, okay? Don't wait till the last minute to get coaching. Don't wait till the last minute. You should be job searching now. September is a great time to apply to new jobs. This surge won't come again until January of next year. Because like I said, companies are looking at their budget and they've made decisions, critical decisions on what they can spend money on versus what they will cut. So this live is strategic because I need y'all to understand that. Some people are preparing to go out and recruit, but there is also a segment where companies are looking on like who to cut. Okay, they got to make cuts somewhere. Yes, they'll grow in some areas, but they'll intentionally contract in others. They have to pivot their business strategy based on economic conditions. So yeah, September is a perfect time for you to go ahead, book a call, get a plan together, and make something happen. You should be going in right now through October 1st, applying to as many jobs as humanly possible. Y'all have 4 minutes before I hang up. So if you have any questions, you better hit me now before I go. Do you have interview tips? I have a second interview tomorrow and I've been practicing. Being unprepared is the worst thing you can do. So good for you for practicing. I always say there's a lot of free resources on YouTube. So you should be practicing against Ivy League graduates. There's a lot of career prep on YouTube. So look at case studies, look at like prompts that you can find and prepare your responses. That's what I do. When I get a new job or I'm applying somewhere, I'm looking at what people who go to Harvard, what they doing. Okay, so Harvard, they look at their career services. Okay, so it looks like they're using this, they're doing that. Let me go duplicate that. Let me go on YouTube to see, what are some of the interview questions that these companies are asking, and I prepare against that. Z, if you get the job but you don't know what you're doing, then you have 9 months before they lay you off and get somebody else. You should be booking a call. More than anybody in here, you should definitely be booking a call, because it's not just getting the job, it's keeping it. I'm a journalist and my company is consolidating with Nexstar. I don't know if you know about that. No, I do not. Best AI fields to enter right now. If you click the link in my bio, I actually have a whole ebook on this. I did some research on it. Enjoy. It's a long list. Enjoy. Specifically on how to pivot into careers that are AI based. And unfortunately, but fortunately for some, these are not entry level positions, so they pay into the 6-figure salary range, but you do actually have to have experience. You can't just be like a newbie. You have to have extensive math and science, foundational math and science knowledge on top of some experience in the field. But the jobs are out there. The best way to pivot using AI is to use the tools that you already have access to. I think it's going to get to a point where the people getting, just like with data science, people getting these like overvalued master's degrees, they may regret it. So I don't necessarily encourage people to run and get an AI ML degree for that reason. You come out better just using the tools at your company, so you have practical use cases for what you're doing. What tech jobs do you think are irreplaceable? I always say sales, because tech sales is lucrative because you need a specific set of skills. You have to understand the technology and then be really good with your people skills. And because these folks are close to the revenue, meaning they're the tip of the spear. They're always making the company money. So the only way you're truly getting cut from a sales role is if you're not performing as expected. The people who are like stellar performers at sales companies are in sales roles are always going to be needed. You know what I'm saying? So I always say tech sales is a good place to start because it gives you a working understanding of the technology. You talk to clients to understand what their challenges are. You get a better view of the industry as a whole, and you're making the company money. So if you get let go, it's probably because you were a low performer. That's one of the few roles I could truly say, if you got cut, it's usually for that reason. That they don't cut high performers because you're so close to the money. Like, they want revenue generators, but you got to be good. Okay, guys, it is now 9 o'clock. Like I said, click the link in my bio to book a consultation, apply to work with me, and we will have some conversations, probably via email, to understand where you want to go with this. Again, like I said, do not wait to the last minute. Do not wait till you get laid off to get a plan together. September is the best time to apply for jobs. This surge won't happen again probably until January 2026. So you need to be hitting the applications hard. We are seeing high performers cut as they are highest paid. Yeah, expensive employees in general get cut, but salespeople can bounce back and get another job. That's the point. I don't know very many high performing salespeople who can't get a job. I don't know any. Just be honest with you. If they get cut for whatever reason, they can just get another one. Now, those directors making a lot of money, but they're not generating revenue, they struggle. I've seen quite a few sales folks actually who they were in sales, but then they went to like sales ops, senior manager, director level, struggle to get hired. So just saying what I'm seeing. I wish y'all the best of luck. I hope y'all have a good night. I gotta bounce.